Good Friday morning. It's Julie Murphy with Arizona Farm Bureau. It's our Talk to a Farmer, Talk to a Rancher Friday, and I'm in the thick of the series on our local meat processing plants. And one of the things that I'm trying to do with the series is kind of tell us the state of affairs with our local meat processing, but we're going a little bit beyond that, and I'm hoping I can bring her in. My guest will be Sierra Anthony. She's a meat scientist and the owner of Butcher Solutions. It's a traveling butcher school is how she describes it, and a meat science education company based in Montana. We have had her on our Fill Your Plate Now podcast, and she was just a rock star on the show. And these weekly lives that we do on Instagram is a way for us to kind of connect you, whether you're a farmer or rancher and or an Arizona family or someone across the country who kind of wants to learn more about farming and ranching. And this is one of the ways we've decided to do it. So let me see if I can bring her in, putting on my big readers. Hi, Chaos Farmer. Hey, Joel. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Butcher Solutions. Invited her in. Let's see if she joins. I sent her a few little, oh, there she is.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Sierra. You look lovely today.
Oh.
You are too, but
looking a little disheveled.
Look, darling. So thank you for joining us. As I was telling everybody that was coming on live, we always have at least a dozen people that join the live, and then we save it to Instagram, and then we also upload it to our website. So we try everything we can to share our stories and share the news. But before I begin, a few of the things that I want to mention is our 2026 Summer Agricultural Conference, which is in July, and Sierra is our keynote. So it's July 16th and 17th at the Little America Hotel in Flagstaff. And again, this is hosted by the Women's Leadership Committee of the Arizona Farm Bureau and a lot of our other ag-aligned groups. The theme this year is Seeding, Feeding, and Leading, and this event will feature my guest today, and the keynote speaker for the event is Sierra Anthony. We'll also hear from other inspiring voices, and alert to anybody that's joining this live, and also if you watch it a few days later, hotel reservations end on the 17th, which I think is next week. Where is June going, Sierra? I think
it's gone. But July is going to be fun.
That's going to be very fun. So again, I am interviewing Sierra Anthony. She's a meat scientist and the owner of Butcher Solutions, LLC, a traveling butcher school and meat science company, and you're based in Montana. But you're in Ohio.
Well, I'm an Ohio girl. Yeah, my family still farms in Ohio.
Yes, you're an Ohio girl. So my first question to you, Sierra, as we get excited about having you as our keynote for the conference this summer, tell us about you.
Yeah, I grew up in a farming family in Ohio, so Midwestern roots for sure. So yeah, all the Midwestern things. So corn, wheat, soybeans, beef, cattle, great stuff. And then after undergrad, which is where I found meat science, late in undergrad, I made my way west to Wyoming, and I coached meat judging teams at the University of Wyoming. And then from there, went to grad school in Idaho, and then settled down here in Montana.
And I'm excited to have gotten to know you through our Fill Your Plate Now podcast. I think we interviewed you a few weeks ago. And by the way, that show went really well, and you're getting a lot of attention. And we've got so many people that are excited to have you be our keynote, Sierra.
Yes.
And you even start the night before hosting some kind of game show. Is that what we're calling it?
Yes. It's called the meatiest game show ever. So it'll be a variety of game show style play, but all focused around the meat industry. So beef, pork, lamb, all kinds of good things.
Awesome. And just so you know, I'm going to be there. So I'm going to finally get to meet you in person, even though we've kind of been talking via the internet, and in this case, Instagram. So give us some points, maybe key points you like to share with students that you're helping to improve their butcher skills without giving away the baby with the bathwater.
Oh no, it's all good. I think like as we're training butchers, enthusiasm is something that you cannot skimp on, especially as we're getting folks into the butchery industry. It's cold, wet concrete. There are hard days, there are long days. So, but butchery is sexy again. It is. It's one of the trades that is coming back, and so finding folks that are really interested and excited to learn the trade is key, and understanding that it's hard work, it's difficult. But it's really rewarding, especially when you can get back to those your local communities, and figuring out where each of these cuts comes from on a beef carcass, a pork, a lamb is really exciting and rewarding. So butchery is fun, it's cool, and so helping people be excited is also fun.
You say it's getting sexy again, or it's getting exciting again. Is it partly because a lot of the trades are coming back, or is there something special with butchery that has that one extra element of sexiness, I guess?
Yeah, I'd say it's both. And so I think in 2020, we really saw a shift in the desire for local meats. And so that's really when the local meat movement became, bigger than just a lot of us who got freezer beef or freezer pork or lamb. A lot of us bought local meats for a long, long time. But in 2020 was when the general community really realized how these small local shops exist, and they can purchase meat, and you can go and actually talk to a butcher. And so from there really became a boom in folks' interest in becoming butchers themselves, and these shops are really cool, and I believe in this mission to provide local meats. And so now in some of our more boutique-y communities, more of these boutique-y meat shops are starting to pop up. And so that's where folks are really excited to work. But then also, just thinking about the trades in general. My generation, our parents pushed us to go to college. And you don't need a 4-year degree to be a butcher, but I now have a master's degree in meat science. So you don't need advanced degrees to be a butcher, but as folks are realizing that you can make a whole career out of trades. So our electricians, our plumbers, our butchers, those careers are really needed. We don't need students that necessarily, a lot of us aren't, wanting to sit behind a desk every single day. And so letting people know that there are careers out there that can be super fulfilling is really important.
Yeah, we talked about it on the Fill Your Plate Now podcast, how the pandemic and COVID-19 really shifted our thinking and recognizing the need for that local access, especially to our protein meats, because we've finally been enlightened to the fact that it's a nutrient-dense protein. It's critical to be on the center of our plates for our meals. And then when people didn't have access, and or our food supply chain was going through its struggle, I think it really woke up our eyes. I think I told you this on the show, that we used to have about 25 beef producers that would sell to you directly. And all of a sudden over the pandemic period, it ballooned to 50. So and that's kind of calmed down a little bit. And I know some of my ranchers that there for a while were direct. A portion of their business, they went to the direct market. Some of them have kind of moved away from that, but those that have entered it, and we've had some really amazing people on this show and on the podcast really talking about how important that local meat market is. So I can envision, based on what you're saying, the enlightenment that people are having to it, and it's all of a sudden butchery is sexy again, at least certainly on the local market. So you've almost really answered it, but is there anything you want to add to it? The current state of the local meat market, I guess it's front and center because of what happened in 2020, but is there anything else you would add to that?
current state being the prices of beef or how excited people are about beef?
How excited people are about it.
I think there was some marketing tactics several years ago by, I hate to say bad research, but there was some misguided research out there about the fats in red meat proteins. So beef, pork, lamb had some misguided information many, many years ago. And if we think about our parents, who were the ones who were getting that information, and then the doctors who were getting that information, most doctors don't have formal training in nutrition. And so if they are getting one or two articles that say meat is bad or saturated fat is bad, then that's the advice that our parents got from their doctors. And so there is more meat science research that's coming out every single day that's not working to debunk that science, but just to dive deeper into it. And we get better at sciencing every single day. And so we do want to know what are our limits for eating red meat every single day? And can I eat it every day? Can I eat it every meal? Which I do.
I do
and
too.
still alive, healthy, well.
Yeah.
But just helping people realize that, just because, we had science many years ago that said that this might not be great for your diet doesn't necessarily mean that what fuels you and what feels good isn't good for your body. And so I think people are starting to realize that as competitive athletes or as lean focused families or as large families or as single individuals living in big cities, like wherever you're at, beef is a really nutrient dense protein that we can get really excited about. Pork, lamb, other, really all of our red meat proteins, all of our animal proteins. If people are eating animal proteins, that's a huge win. But I think folks are still continuing to be excited about beef, even with rising prices. We've got to pay our farmers. We have to pay our butchers. We have to pay the people that are putting it on our plates. So we are sorry that it's expensive. We are also paying the price. But when it comes to nutrient dense food, that's what's important to put on the plate.
That's so awesome to hear you say that. Yes, meat is expensive, but they just came out with a study report, I think from American Farm Bureau Federation, that despite the increase in prices, especially in beef, consumer demand continues to increase. So, maybe you have to give up your potato chips and some of your other things and buy more beef. But per unit, you're still getting some of the richest and best value. And so that's what I think is causing people to realize the criticality of having that protein meat. And speaking of that, I like what you told us on this Fill Your Plate Now podcast. You said that you are an adult onset hunter. And to clarify what an adult onset hunter, you really didn't get into hunting until you were an adult. But it's another meat protein that, as you've discovered. So talk about that whole experience a little bit more.
So I met my husband in 2019 and right before the pandemic. So there's nowhere better to be than on a ranch in Wyoming and hunting, and the rest of the world's going crazy and you're just blissfully unaware. And so he took me on my first hunts that year, and I've been hunting ever since. And for me, I get excited. It doesn't matter if I have a tag in my pocket. He can have the tag. I don't care. But I'm excited about the protein that we fill our freezers with. And so right now we just put a black bear in our freezer. We've got moose, elk, antelope, all kinds of fun things. And that's also red meat. That's red meat protein. All of it is. We've got some poultry in there, some wild turkey. But it's fun to educate the hunting community as well on the meat cuts that they can get, on food safety and on meat safety and meat care. Because if you want to be a good hunter, you also need to be a good butcher at least one day of the year. And it's okay if you want to take your meat to a meat processor that does wild game, but those are becoming so few and far between. It's very difficult to find, space and a processor that'll take it. It's sometimes you wonder, can I get just my deer ground, or is it going to be mixed in with somebody else's? And so if you've done a really good job of taking care of it and keeping the meat cool, what if I don't want it thrown in with somebody else's? So the best way to ensure your own meat care is to do it yourself. And so I know that's kind of a daunting task for people, but I'm hoping that I can make it less daunting by teaching folks.
Well, Butcher Solutions, and you are a traveling skill set educator on butchery, are a lot of your clients actually, they're wanting to learn how to butcher themselves because
Yeah.
they do a lot of wild game. So is that a common customer?
Yes, and not just hunters, but folks who want to do their own backyard beef as well. So I've worked with folks in Arizona specifically.
Oh, okay.
So we killed beef at 3 or 4 in the morning before the sun came up, and we had to get them in the cooler before it was high and hot. Yeah, folks who want to do their own meat products is a customer of mine. So whether those are folks who are hunting and harvesting critters or folks with their own livestock too.
So I'm talking to Sierra Anthony from Montana. She has a Butcher Solutions LLC company where she comes to you to teach you all the skill sets you need to be the best butcher you can be, whether you're setting that up for your own home butchery or you're actually going into some of these small local meat processing plants, and it's educating an entire team. For those that have joined us live, if you have any questions for us, post them in the comments. I know if it's on butchery, Sierra can answer it. If it's general Arizona agriculture, I can answer it. But it's so fun to have you on this live. We've had several people join us. I think it's because some of our Arizona farm and ranch families know that you're our keynote, and we're pretty excited about having you here in Arizona. And again, that's on, I think, I got to get the dates in my head, July 16th and 17th. You're there with us all 2 days. You start in the evening and then your keynote on Friday of that week. So we can't be more excited than knowing that you're going to be our keynote. So pretty cool stuff. And on that point, not to give it away, but is there anything that the audience at our conference in July, is there anything that raise our expectations? Is there anything that we should be coming to and saying, okay, after I hear Sierra, this is what I'm going to learn?
Yeah, so the keynote is going to be on grocery store meat science. And so right now I am in a local butcher shop. It's called Fettis Family Meats here in Montana. And so when I'm not on the road training butchers, I'm working here. And so I actually work in butcher shops. I deal with cut sheets. I know what makes butchers roll their eyes. I know what is not on a cut sheet, but you can ask for. And so I know why we make cut sheets look the way they do for your freezer beef versus what is actually in the meat case. And so if you have questions about what is this cut or how do I ask for this cut, can help you out there. Awesome. Another like sneaky thing that we're going to cover is ordering subprimals, whether that's from your local butcher or from a Costco or a big box beef store, and how you can cut your own meat at home to save some bucks. Because buying in bulk, not just buying a lot at one time, but buying big pieces of meat and then doing some cutting at home is a great way to save money. So we're going to do, I think we're doing a cutting demo. I'll have to double check that.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. And
so
that's
for fun, since you're in a butchery or with a storefront, can you kind of cruise your phone around so that we can see it?
Yeah. So we've got all of our cases here. Those are all frozen meat products, all under vacuum seal. And then behind me, there is another case here, which is the fresh case. And so a really cool thing that this shop does is all of their cuts are vacuum sealed. So nothing is open air in a case. Nothing is just butcher wrapped here in the case. Everything's vacuum sealed, which makes sure that the meat stays fresher longer. And so they don't have any food waste in terms of if something is discolored, then we have to discount it. And so everything in under a vacuum seal condition, meat will stay fresh for 2-3 weeks, because that's how our big packers are vacuum sealing large subprimals, and then those cuts are actually aging as they ship around the country. And so as long as that vacuum seal is sealed and solid, that meat is wet aging in those packages. And so it's still a safe product to have fresh. And then we keep all the products frozen in the case because, again, food longevity, the shelf life of those meats. Under vacuum seal, The technical answer of how long can meat last is a year or 2 years. However, I have meats in my freezer that are like 3 years old and they're just paper wrapped. And so as long as you're keeping a good protective barrier from oxygen, those meats can stay for a very long time. And we can talk about meat quality in terms of fresh and frozen too, because both are great. Neither is better than the other.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. So for anyone that's not going to be, again, for the listeners, if you haven't registered for the 2026 Summer Agricultural Conference, the theme is Seeding, Feeding, and Leading. It's going to be up in Flagstaff on July 16th and 17th. And the young, beautiful woman that I'm talking to on today's live is our keynote, Sierra Anthony. But what if I can't make it to the conference? I am going to go, but what if I can't make it? Can you give me and our listeners one special tip that we can take home with us this weekend, because we've decided we're going to barbecue?
Yes. I'm a huge fan of beefitswhatsfordinner.com. Huge fan. And so as you are out and about this summer, if you find a cut of beef for sale, on sale, or if you are digging through your freezer and you're like trying to clear things out and you're like, I don't know how to cook this, beefitswhatsfordinner.com has a search bar. And you can use that search bar and just type in the name of the cut, and it gives you so many recipes of what to do with that cut. And so I use this all the time, like if I'm using like wild game and pretending it's beef. It's like, okay, I cut a top round. What are all the fun things I can do with top round? And it gives you a variety of flavors. It gives you cookery methods. It gives you leftover ideas. So this summer, it's an awesome time. Try out some new marinades, try out some new cuts. With the price of beef being really pricey, it's an awesome time to experiment with some of those cuts that are on sale. Or if you're trying to figure out, can I turn a roast into something summery? Beefitswhatsfordinner.com is great. Also, it works if you have lamb or pork too. You can use some of those same flavors.
That's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned them, and to give props to our local Arizona Beef Council, our executive director for that, and you may know her as Lauren Mailing. And who knows, she might be at the conference this summer in July. But when you mentioned that, and that's an excellent tip, thank you, Sierra. You made me think of your funny story you tell when you picked a cut.
The eye of round.
Yeah, so tell our listeners that story again, because I think it's just classic. It's something I would do. Something I would do.
When I went to college, when I moved away, I wanted a little taste of home, and so it was my sophomore year. I was living in a house, so we finally had a kitchen, and I wanted a taste of home, and so I went to the grocery store, and I was gonna put a roast in a crock pot because that's what my mom did, and I found this like really cute little tidy roast. It was like round, and it was the perfect little roast. It was adorable. Which like college girl, I'm like, that's what we picked meat off of, was which one looks cute. And so I took it home and I cooked it from memory, just like what I saw mom do. And it turned out awful. It was horrible. It was dry. It was like no flavor. It was terrible. And so I called my mother. Said it was tough. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I don't know what magic, but like I did this so wrong. Like, can you help me? She's like, okay, like back up, like what cut of beef did you buy? I said, I got the eye of round. She's like, no, Sierra, no, chuck roast every time. I was like, okay, sounds good. And so it really does matter, what cuts you buy, and knowing what cookery methods is best for, because eye of round, they can have their place in time, but to this day, I still look at an eye of round and I know that it lied to me, because it looked so tasty, and it wasn't. And so now as I'm training butchers, even in this shop, I was excited to see there's no eye of round in their case, but they have a variety of processed meats. They've got beef sausages, breakfast sausages, they do snack sticks, all kinds of things. And so the eye round still gets repurposed, but it's not out there victimizing all of their innocent beef consumers.
I love it. And hence, it's very smart. Share that website again with listeners to go there to get all of the best beef recipes you can ever imagine. And by the way, they test all their recipes. So they know
Yep.
for sure that they work. But what's the name of it again? I'll let you say it.
Yes, it is beef. It's whatsfordinner.com. And they've got a great search bar. Just type in the name of cut that you want, and it's going to turn out every recipe, flavor, variety, cut style that you could want.
And for everybody listening, and for those that will watch this later, if you want to follow Sierra Anthony, go check her out on Instagram. It's at Butcher
Butcher
Solutions
Solutions
LLC.
Yep.
And you'll get to see some of her reels, videos that kind of highlight some of the butchery that she's doing, how she's instructing people. That you can actually learn a lot from that Instagram account. I was rolling through it quite a bit in the last week and a half just so I could get familiar with you. But you know what? This has been great, Sierra. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in advance, and we'll see you in July. Blessings
See you
to
in Arizona.
Yes, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And thanks to those who joined us today. Remember, our conference is in July. Take care. Bye-bye.